Welcome to the migration from Blackboard to Canvas training. In this video, we're going to talk about the main Canvas and Blackboard differences, how content from Blackboard imports to Canvas, how to migrate your course, and any cleanup that needs to happen once you've done the migration. The first thing that's really important is understanding how Canvas is different than Blackboard. Canvas has a different organizational structure than that of Blackboard, and so it's important to kind of understand that and wrap your brain around that so that when you bring your content into Canvas from Blackboard, you're not surprised by what it does. If you imagine your Blackboard course, you'll think about the folders that you have, and ultimately, when you created your course and your content, you were building the structure and the organization alongside the content. As you built content, you were also adding to the structure and the organization. Canvas works a little differently. Canvas uses tools or building blocks to create content, and then you actually build the organizational structure using modules and pages. Because of that, the menu is going to look a little different on Canvas than it does in Blackboard. And it's important to understand that the various items on the menu are tools areas. They're not necessarily content folders like you have in Blackboard. Understanding that is going to be helpful when you do the migration process. Because of the way that Canvas works, there's a variety of ways to design in Canvas, but the most common way is to use a combination of modules and pages to organize your content. So, which content imports well? Announcements come over just fine from Blackboard to Canvas. So if you want to reuse any past announcements, you can do that. Your course files like documents, PowerPoints, PDFs, anything that you've uploaded to your Blackboard course will also come over to the files area in Canvas. There may need to be some reorganizations and cleanup that happens, but they should all come over. Any learning modules you had in Blackboard will come over as modules in Canvas. Discussion board forums come over. Quizzes and most question types, quizzes and test banks from the publishers, and assignments except for safe assign assignments. Any safe assign assignments need to be recreated as Turnitin assignments, but any of your normal assignments that you create in Blackboard will come over to Canvas just fine. Which content imports but requires some cleanup? The Blackboard glossary, Blackboard content folders. All of your folders in Blackboard are going to come over as modules, but because you can nest folders in Blackboard, but you can't nest modules in Canvas, some of those content folders will need to be reorganized. They're going to need to be maybe combined, and there will be some cleanup needed, but they should all come over. Any items that you had in Blackboard with text descriptions may need some cleanup. For example, the item may come over, but the text description might not have come with it. Sometimes the text descriptions become their own pages in Canvas, and so you just want to make sure you check any text descriptions that you have, like on folders or descriptions that you have inside of an exam, those types of things. You just want to make sure that all of those things come over, and if not, copy and paste them from Blackboard to Canvas into the appropriate location. Blackboard audio and video content will come over, but it kind of depends on the type of audio and video content and how it was imported to Blackboard, on whether or not it needs to be cleaned up or relinked. So you just want to make sure you check all of that, and some of it may need to be cleaned up a little bit. And Blackboard tasks require some cleanup. So which content needs to be relinked? Your Kaltura videos will come over. They will look like they come over, but it just is the thumbnail, the image thumbnail that comes over, and you actually have to relink the video because the link is trying to take you back to Blackboard. Thankfully, the Kaltura integration with Canvas is great, and so it's very easy to relink those videos, but it does have to be done, which is probably one of the biggest things that has to be relinked when you come from Blackboard to Canvas. Any publisher tools that you use will need to be relinked the first time you use them in Canvas. And some Tegrity videos. Tegrity is also fully integrated with Canvas, but it depends on how you added the videos to Canvas on whether or not they need to be relinked. So which content needs to be recreated? Groups and group tools. Both Blackboard and Canvas have group areas, but they're done very differently, and so most of the content does not come over. Recently, the groups themselves have been coming over, but not any of the content. So you just want to make sure you get any content out of the groups areas from Blackboard and use that to recreate the group assignments in Canvas. In Blackboard, each course has a faculty information area. That does not exist in the individual Canvas course. Instead, there's a global profile that the students can get to from each course. So because of that, the faculty information that's in each course will not come over. So if you have any unique information stored in that area, you'll need to get that out of Blackboard and put it in the appropriate place in Canvas. Wikis, blogs, and journals are all tools that do not exist in Canvas. There are alternatives to these tools. So if you need help figuring out how to do these types of things in Canvas, contact an instructional designer and we'd be happy to help you brainstorm for some ideas. But any wikis, blogs, or journals are not going to come over. So you want to make sure you get any of that content out of Blackboard so that you can use it to recreate items in Canvas. Turnitin Assignments. Turnitin is used in both Blackboard and Canvas, but they are created in different ways. And they don't come over when you copy a course from Blackboard to Canvas. So you want to make sure you get all the instructions that you had in any Turnitin assignments in Blackboard, copy them so that you have them to recreate those Turnitin assignments in Canvas. Now we can talk about how to migrate your course. So there's 4 main steps to migrating a course from Blackboard to Canvas. The first one is to complete a course export in Blackboard. Then you're going to save that exported zip file to your computer and import that same file to your Canvas course, and then clean up your course and reorganize things as needed. So now I'm going to actually show you how to do these 4 steps and walk you through the migration process. So let's jump over to Canvas and Blackboard. I have 2 tabs open. One is my Blackboard course that I'm going to do an export on, and one is my blank Canvas shell. So I'm going to start in Blackboard, and I'm going to go down to the bottom of my course under the Course Management Tool area, find Packages and Utilities, and choose Export Archive Course. When I click on that, I get this screen, and you may see this no packages exist for this course. That's okay, we're going to create a package right now. So click Export Package over here on the left, and you get this menu where you can choose what to export. You're going to keep the settings in the top area as the recommended settings. You don't need to change anything up there. And under Select Course Materials, you can choose what to bring over. I typically recommend that you just click Select All to begin with and see how it works. And if it's a big mess and you want to start over, you can come back and redo this and just choose the items that you want to bring over. One thing to keep in mind is that if you do not select everything, but you bring over a folder that has quizzes or exams in it, you need to make sure you bring over the test, surveys, and pools area. If you don't bring over this tool area, any exams or quizzes will not come over. So I'm going to go ahead and click Select All and click Submit. And this is going to run an export package, and it takes about 30 seconds to a minute, but you can just click this refresh button every so often until you see the link pop up. You'll also get an email when that happens. So once the file appears, I'm going to go ahead and click on the file to download it to my computer. So you just click the link that shows up here in blue, and each browser does something a little different with it. Google Chrome should start downloading it automatically to your downloads folder. If you're in Internet Explorer or Firefox, you will probably get a dialog box that pops up and asks you what you want to do with the file. So if that happens, make sure you click Save. You want to save the file to your computer. Once the file is downloaded, I can now go over to my blank Canvas course. And I'm going to scroll down the menu over here on the left, go to Settings. and then choose from the right-hand menu, Import Course Content. From this content type drop-down menu, I'm going to choose Blackboard 6789. I'm going to click Choose File and make sure that I have my Downloads folder selected, and then find the file. It might help to organize them by date. That way you can see, the most current file. But you're going to be looking for a file that says export file underscore and then your course name or course ID and then a bunch of numbers. So you want to make sure that it says export file. If it does not say export file, you may have exported it incorrectly. So make sure that that says export file. Select the file you want to import and click Open. Now there's some other settings that I can choose from. So I can choose what type of content I want to bring in from Blackboard. So I can choose all content, or I can select specific content. Canvas will allow you to get a little more specific in what you bring over from this select specific content option. So if you're wanting to pick and choose very specific individual things, you can do that here. But for our purposes today, I'm going to go ahead and click all content. And you can also adjust events and due dates. This option will allow you to shift the dates of any due dates to your current semester. You can also substitute dates. So if you wanted to change the dates from a Monday to a Tuesday, it'll do that for you. It's not perfect because every semester is different with different holidays and all of that, but it does get the dates close, and then you can adjust as needed. But because I'm not needing that for our purposes today, I'm going to leave that unchecked. Then I'm going to click Import. This screen is normal. It just means that the file is uploading to Canvas. It really depends on how large your file is, on how long that screen will last. But once that uploads, then you'll see this screen where it shows running. You may also see a queued icon here, and that's also normal. It just means that it hasn't started running yet, but it will soon. Some people get a little concerned about this message. You don't need to worry about that. All that it's talking about is that this file that I just uploaded from my computer can't be re-downloaded from Canvas after 500 days. But keep in mind, you still have that file on your computer, so you really don't even need to be able to come back and get to it. It's just basically saying that Canvas isn't going to store those zip files indefinitely. They're only there for 500 days. Once your import has completed, you may see this issues area. That's totally normal, especially when you're copying from Blackboard to Canvas. There might be even more issues, but it is a good idea to go ahead and click on this so you can see what the issues are. In my case, I have this notice that says missing links found in imported content, assignment description. So what that's telling me is that the item that has an issue is an assignment. And then there's a description area where there was a link, but now the link is either broken or it removes the link altogether. So what I can do is I can click on this and it will take me to that assignment or page or discussion or wherever the issue is and allow me to look at it here and fix it if I need to. So it looks like this icon here maybe used to be an image that was linked and now it's gone. So that just indicates to me that I need to replace that if I want to. So I can go ahead and do that now by clicking edit, or I can come back to it later. But it's nice to be able to see, what the issues are and fix them as needed. So the issue actually opened a separate tab when I clicked to look at it. So I'm going to go ahead and close that tab and now go back to where I had those issues before. If you ever need to get back to the issues, you can get back to them by going to Settings, Import Course Content, and then you'll see the current jobs has a record of all of the imports, and you can click the issues link again to get back to them. So you don't have to do it right from here. You can always come back to them as needed. Now that my import is done, I can go ahead and look at how things imported and start cleaning up. You want to make sure you look at, the modules area, which is how all of your folders will come over. You're going to want to look at the assignments area. In fact, let's do the assignments area first. One thing that's really important to know about how things come over from Blackboard to Canvas is that Blackboard brings over their assignment categories. And Blackboard actually has a list of preset assignment categories that you cannot get rid of. And so some of them, like survey, blog, journal, self, and peer, you may not have ever used, but because Blackboard has them as presets, they come over as what are called assignment groups in Canvas. So the problem with this is that if you go to your gradebook, every assignment group is going to be a subtotal column in your gradebook. So it's going to really bog it down, especially if you're not using these. You want to get rid of them. Plus, you want to avoid any confusion because, for example, the weighted total or the total column, they're not really total columns. They were total columns in Blackboard, but now that we have imported them into Canvas, they are just assignment groups. They don't actually do any of the things that you might think they do because of their title. So I'm going to go back to assignments. And I'm going to get rid of those. So any that I'm not using. So I'm going to go over here to this 3 dots over on the right and just click on it and then click delete. And just get rid of any that I'm not using. And the reason I know I'm not using it is because it says no assignments in this group. And the weighted total and total, no matter what, you definitely want to get rid of. So now that I've gotten rid of everything I'm not using, I now have just 2 categories or 2 groups, assignment groups in Canvas, assignment and test. And I do have assignments here. If I wanted to just combine them and have one, assignment group, I can do that. But what's nice about this is this allows me to weight my grades. I can set it up so that, anything in this assignment group contributes to whatever the percentage is. So I can change the percentage to being 50% of the grade if I want. So now it automatically does the weighted grade for you. I can make the test one be 50% if I want. So now if I go back to grades, I'm going to see that the total columns, there's a general total column for my full total grade, and then there's 2 subtotal columns that break down those assignment groups. One other thing about the assignment groups that you want to make sure you avoid confusion. If you used Turnitin Assignments in Blackboard, it will probably create an assignment group called Turnitin Assignments. This is very confusing because when you're creating a new assignment, you may think you're choosing the Turnitin assignment type when really you're just putting it in a group that's called Turnitin Assignments. So you want to make sure that one of the first things you do is get rid of this assignment group that's called Turnitin Assignments. That way you don't have any confusion later on down the road when you're creating assignments. So I'm going to go back to my modules and we can take a look at how things came over. I'm going to split my screen here so that I can see Blackboard and Canvas. So you'll see that this announcements is a tool. So Canvas knew to put all of the announcements in the announcements tool in Canvas instead of creating a module for it here. You will see that the Start Here folder, though, did become a module. The syllabus folder became a module. But you'll notice that I don't see a folder on the menu called Course Information. What that is from is actually folders within the syllabus area. So the syllabus area had the main folder become a module, but then every folder within it also became its own module. So this is where some of the cleanup needs to happen. These don't all need to be their own modules. In fact, you can probably get rid of a lot of these and combine them. So that's what I would do. I would just drag these up, and even some of these pages might be able to be combined. So this is where you just have to start kind of playing around with stuff and cleaning things up as needed. But once I can either drag it or I can use this move to option here and tell it that I want it in the syllabus module at the bottom, and it will move it for me. So if you don't like to drag things, you can use these 3 dots and use the move to option. But now when I have blank modules, I can go ahead and delete them. So I would go ahead and delete all the modules I don't need anymore. Again, some of these pages could also probably be combined or even removed altogether. but we're not going to get into all of that today. If you want to talk more about pages, you can come to one of our other trainings where we talk about pages and modules and really how to create organization in your Canvas course. I'm going to scroll down to this example week 1 module, because this is where we start the weekly assignments folder. Everything within that became a module. So this example week 1, type 1, became a module. And I want to just show you how that came over. So for example, one thing you will notice is that this says item is not available. But in Canvas, it has been published. So if you have things that are unavailable in Blackboard, you want to make sure that you go back and unpublish them in Canvas if you don't want students to see them. Because sometimes that happens where something was not available in Blackboard, but now it is available in Canvas. You will see that there's 2 things that say example week type 1. The module itself, which is the folder, and then the first page. And the reason is because Canvas doesn't have a place to put a description on the module itself like we had on the folder. So what it did is it took this text and it created a page with that text on it. Now, this is very little text to have on one page. So one thing that I could do to help clean up this module is I could combine, the first probably 4 pages into one page. So for example, this text that's on the front of the folder and the top 3 individual items in Blackboard could all become one page in Canvas. So this example module item became its own page in Canvas. This example introduction and to-do list item became its own page. And if I click next from Canvas, it will take me to the next item on the list and then the required reading. So what I could do is I could actually edit these and combine them. So just by copying and pasting, I could take this text and the videos and paste them into, this page. And that way I can combine them and then get rid of some of them so that my module is not as long. So that's one way to think about it. If I combined, these 4 pages into one page, and then below that is the assignment and the discussion, you can really get creative with how you organize things, but don't necessarily just leave them the way that they came over from Blackboard, because some of them, like this, really don't need to be on their own page, but they just are because that's how they came over. So it's okay to reconfigure and combine some things as needed. You will notice that the one thing that didn't come over from this folder is the test wiki, because again, wikis don't come over. So if I wanted this, I would need to copy the instructions, copy anything that's in the wiki. That way I have the information and I can recreate it in a different way in Canvas. But you should see, the discussion form. I would want to check to make sure that this text here came over, which it did. It's now inside the discussion board instead of kind of on the top of it here. And so it's just one of those things where you just want to go through and check to make sure everything came over, make sure it's organized in a way that makes sense in Canvas. But that is how you would start to clean up once you have imported from Blackboard to Canvas. I hope this training was helpful. Please make sure to visit site.nku.edu for more information or to contact an instructional designer for help. You can also go to pod.nku.edu for other trainings that you can take to learn more about Canvas.